Are gold and silver really risk-free in a world that has so much risk, it seems, around every corner in the world of finances anyway? Inflation, cost of living, stocks and shares, AI bubbles. There seems to be a lot of potential risk, and gold and silver have traditionally been that go-to safe haven asset to protect your money over that long period of time. Does that mean, though, that if you buy your gold and silver right now, you can do so with abandon and you can buy as much as you want, knowing that it is risk-free and you're going to make a buck? Well, maybe not as easy as you think, because there are a bunch of other factors at play that people don't often think about. They might make irrational decisions about the kind of purchases they make or where they make them from, or indeed quite how much they are buying. Gold and silver are good, but they're not the best thing in the world to buy. And this is why. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here. Welcome to another Precious Metal Ramble, where we have down-to-earth discussions about all things precious and shiny. And today I want to talk about whether or not silver and gold are truly risk-free investments, with the stock market seeming to be a little bit overvalued at the moment, and a lot of talk about the AI bubble. I will point out I'm filming this video a couple of days in advance of it going public, so anything could have happened in the world of finances and the stock market. It is always the case that silver and gold are seen as these safe haven assets, but are they truly risk-free? Is the phrase a silver lining actually a bit of a misnomer? Because there are risks, I view, for silver and gold purchasing and investing, and a lot of that doesn't necessarily come to simple things as just you buy X amount of silver at spot price, you sell X amount of silver at spot price. That kind of trade is very, very low on the risk scale, and that is why the big hedge funds out there play that game. But for us mere mortals, in our investment decision making, we have to factor in other things like premiums and supply and demand and shady business practices from various different private mints out there. So there are a lot of things at play that will affect whether or not silver and gold are risk-free, and I think it's quite important to talk about those, and that's what we're going to do in today's video. So I'd love to know what you've got to think about the world of gold and silver investing, whether you view it as risk-free, whether you really do think the silver lining that underpins all of your shiny things in your stack outweighs any risk that might come from price fluctuations on silver and indeed gold. I like to think and say that gold is a little bit less volatile than silver, and therefore is an awful lot safer, and you will potentially have better results with your gold than silver over a long period of time, and certainly it will be mitigated over a short period of time. But my views might differ to yours, and I'd love to know what you've got to say down in those comment sections, so please feel free to comment what you've got to say on this subject. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. That really helps us on the old YouTube algorithm, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed as we march our way, I always point to this top right corner, to 100,000 subscribers. I think there's usually a little subscribe button up here, so subscribe if you can. That would be amazing. Now, one of the things that I've been talking about lately over the last few weeks has been there's a lot of FOMO buying of silver right now, and there are a lot of people who I suppose are right in many ways by saying that any silver is better than no silver in their mind. I would beg to differ depending on the price points that people are paying, but I suppose that comes into where we're talking on this conversation around risk, because a lot of these people don't view paying a little bit of a premium on silver right now as a risk, because the premiums are high on silver, and it means that they could theoretically turn around and sell their silver for the same price that they paid it. The argument is always, I think, an interesting one, that if you were willing to pay a certain price for, say, a kilo bar of silver, then somebody else is willing to pay the same price. It's just a matter of being able to find that same person. But a lot of people also view any silver that they're buying right now as a hold for 20 years, because there are problems in the world of stocks and shares. There are problems in the world of money and sovereign nations and banks and geopolitical situations all around the world causing havoc. And I do think that over a long period of time, there is going to be a lot of potential for both silver and gold to really show and shine in their true value. And we're going to touch more on that in just a moment after today's video sponsor. As you guys know, I am big on silver. I have been buying silver for the better part of a decade, and I think it's great. But silver isn't just a historic store of value anymore. It's on a run. hitting all-time highs as global demand surges. And the place where some of the best opportunities for silver are being rediscovered? Nevada. Most people hear the name and think of Las Vegas, Reno, bright lights, casinos, but long before the neon glow, Nevada earned a very different nickname, the Silver State. Because Nevada wasn't built on entertainment, it was built on silver. And today, that legacy is coming back into focus in a big way. Today's video sponsor, Americore Resources, trading under AMCOF in the US and AMCO in Canada, is positioning itself right at the center of Nevada's modern silver resurgence. This is a company focused on high-potential silver exploration in the jurisdiction that has produced more wealth-creating mineral discoveries than anywhere else in the American West. They have just acquired the Trinity Silver Project in Nevada from Newmont, one of the world's largest mining companies. This isn't a brand new exploration play with uncertain potential. It's a historic mine that has already produced over 5 million ounces of silver, with historical data indicating a potential resource of over 28 million ounces still in the ground. Nevada's geology, infrastructure, permitting framework, and discovery track record make it one of the safest, most productive, and most mining-friendly jurisdictions in the world. It's why the biggest names in the sector continue expanding here, and why Americore Resources is laser-focused on this ground. And here's what makes the story even more compelling. Americore Resources currently trades at under 25 cents, a steep discount compared to established silver names like Discovery Silver or Dolly Varden Silver, both of which command significantly higher valuations after their projects advanced. Americore offers investors that rare early-stage positioning, exposure to the Nevada discovery potential before the market re-rates it, at a time when silver is surging and investor interest is skyrocketing. Americore is early, Americore is cheap, and it's in Nevada, and it's exploring the state literally named after silver. So if you're looking for a high-impact silver exploration opportunity in the one state that still proudly wears the name the Silver State, Americore Resources trading under AMCOF in the US and AMCO in Canada deserves your attention. If you're interested in learning more, there are links in the description box below to their website, investor presentation, and stock symbols. Thank you once again to Americore Resources for sponsoring our video, and now back on with our precious metal ramble. So the true value of silver and gold is a funny one because we as humans, we as these strange creatures that have evolved to be able to think laterally about money and exchange of goods, we've attributed value to metal. And in many ways in nature, that's just weird. There aren't any other species and animals out there that give inanimate metal objects value, especially ones that we then put pretty pictures on and have historical numismatic value attributed to. We're just really weird. And I would love to sort of think in my mind that if an alien species came by that had no concept of money and no concept of wealth and value, what they'd really think of us. We're just running around for our short periods of lives on this planet, jumping after anything shiny. I think that's strange, but it works for us, and it has worked for us for a very long time, and I can only foresee that happening into the future. And there have been some doom and gloomers out there that say, we are in a world, by the way, it's not a backyard bullion video if I don't drop a gold sovereign here and there, so please shout at me in the comment section. But there are a lot of people who will say that in a digital world, in an ever-growing futuristic world that we're in, gold and silver will potentially have less of a role to play. I kind of agree in many senses, and we've already seen that happen because we don't get coins like this anymore that we have. I suppose if we had this in our pocket when it was in circulation, we were very lucky indeed, but we don't have gold and silver as our currency anymore. But what gold and silver are these monetary tools by which we protect and preserve wealth through time. Sovereign nations still have gold and silver in their vaults that they use to back their currencies. Not in the same way as gold standards used to back their currencies, but certainly to have buying power, to have political influence, to have the necessity by which they can borrow money, which I find very strange that you would borrow money against something that you've already got in your vault. Why not use the thing that's in your vault? But I guess we're in this strange world where that is not always quite so possible. For example, if we were to reference ourselves as individual sovereign nations for our gold and silver ownership, if I needed money out of this gold and silver, I'd have to go sell it. I don't borrow money against it. And even if I did, who would take that on? It just seems very strange. You are giving somebody the money, but you don't get anything in return other than the promissory note that you'll get that gold, but it'll never be given to you because it's in the bowels of Fort Knox, supposedly, and you'll never be able to check because you just have to take my word for it that everything's fine. It's a strange concept, isn't it? And I think that's what a lot of the world right now is leveraged on, and it certainly feels that way when it comes to things like the stock market and the AI bubble, and the ups and downs we see in this world is very scary from an investment perspective, and it's around risk, and people have got to have an element of risk. And I do think now as well, with the nature of it's like a bubble cycle economy, you get these short cycle bubbles now, it seems, of all these different things that go popping off, crypto and whatever else it might be, AI. And then those bubbles burst, but they're replaced immediately almost, it seems, by other bubbles out there. And there is this demand for people to be able to make as much money as they can in a short space of time. And if people are not going to double their money in a short space of time, it's not worth their hassle to even get out of bed for. And that provides real danger for a lot of people that I think bleeds over into silver and gold purchasing. So there are people out there who will view silver and gold as a get-rich-quick scheme. They hear and they see things online, they hear things on YouTube. I like to think I'm one of those more down-to-earth people that does not spout conspiracy theory nonsense every day, it seems, and I'm jumping up and down in my chair saying how amazing silver is and how the world's going to collapse. And what people don't often realize as well, if the world is going to collapse, then the money in your pocket is going to be absolutely buggered. Now, if you've put all of your net worth savings into gold and silver, then you'll be a very happy chappy at the other end of it. But let's put that against the backdrop of the fall of our society. That's not necessarily good for anybody. So I think the risk that people take on gold and silver can sometimes be more than I view they think it is, if that makes sense. So generally, I would answer the question by saying gold and silver are pretty risk-free in a sort of more normalized mindset of hold it for a while, see what happens with the world's economy. If we're having money printed into oblivion, then gold and silver are going to be static. They will be static in terms of monetary buying power. They will not lose buying power, unlike the monetary supply that we see ever dwindled by that overarching printing, printer go burr thing. But there are risks involved with owning gold and silver, and people don't often really realize that. I put one too many reallys in there, didn't I? Sorry, I was digressed. I was thinking about the next point I want to make. So the point here is that people make irrational decisions based on irrational thoughts of super high gains. Silver and gold have never really been about that, but in the last year we've seen 50-60% gains, and that's not normal. That's not normal. And buying things now to expect another 50% gain is hard to imagine. If gold goes up by another 50%, then if you take that back to just a year ago, it's gone up by 150%. If you increase 50% on something that's already gone up by 50%, you're increasing on the increase as well as the original price point. And I can't see that happening over such a short period of time for such what is traditionally a non-volatile asset, something that doesn't explode in value very quickly. The reason I think behind gold and silver's exploding in value over this last couple of months has most assuredly been the worries that we see in deeper society around money, around stocks and shares, around big institutions putting their money where things might be safe. And that does concern me from a investment strategy point of view. I want to maybe look to take less volatile approaches to my investment strategies. Does that mean I'm going to go ahead and buy more gold and silver? No, because they're a hedge in my book, and I've already got my position in gold and silver nice and secure. So where we will go with gold and silver is anyone's guess, quite frankly. And if you're going to sit there and tell me that you know exactly where silver and gold are going to go, then you're either delusional or you have a crystal ball that works very, very well, and good for you. You're going to be a millionaire. As they say in Only Fools and Horses, you'll be millionaire next year, Rodders. But when we bring it back down to a more realistic approach for gold and silver right now, the only risk that I see is a risk that people impose upon themselves. And that is by unresponsible, that's the wrong phrase, irresponsible. Unresponsible is a phrase now because I've used it on the channel. That's what I do best, make stuff up. But people who are irresponsible with their own finances, irresponsible with their own financial literacy, and make poor investment decisions based on what they view is the right course of action that actually is ignoring all facts, figures, and historical precedents. And that's happening day in, day out on gold and silver. Now, we're not also touching here on the physical risks of owning physical gold and silver, because if you take this stuff, it is physical ownership of it. It's not quite like stocks and shares on a platform, which carry risk, don't get me wrong. But you know, if those platforms that you hold your stocks and shares go bust, then the world will be in some serious trouble, yes. But theoretically, you still own the shares in which you hold them. Or, for example, if money in your bank account, for example, in the UK, we've just had news that from the 1st of December or the 6th of December, one of those 2 dates anyway, the FSCS, the Financial Conduct Services Authority, something or other, is increasing the amount of money that is protected in your bank account. So if you have £120,000 in your bank account now and that bank folds, that money is protected. My argument to you is if you've got £120,000 in cash sitting in your bank account, you're losing 3.6% of that a year in just inflation, not to mention, that's just published inflation, by the way. I mean, real inflation is way higher than that. And I don't believe those figures at all. The money that I see that I'm spending in my pocket is going up almost at an exponential rate. It's quite scary. So there are quite a lot of worries out there, and people making these decisions based on those worries that sometimes can be a little bit irrational will pose risk to themselves. And I think that's probably the biggest lesson for people to go forward is if you're going to buy gold and silver, great. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the world of silver and gold ownership. You're going to have a great ride. That ride might go up and down. But if you're buying to make a quick buck, be prepared to get yourself in order if you need your money out quick, because if you have to sell this stuff, if you buy Britannia's from a bullion dealer right now for £65 an ounce and you turn around tomorrow to the same bullion dealer, you've got an unexpected bill or you've leverage yourself too much and you've not got that bonus that you hope for at the end of the month and you're going to have to pay your rent, turn around to those same dealers, you're going to be taking a £20 plus haircut, if not more. They're going to offer you spot price, which is £40, £25 an ounce. Can you afford to lose that much on your silver? People just make these irrational decisions. It's like I see kilo bars still going on eBay for £1,600 plus, spot price on them now is £1,200. You take this to a dealer, again, £1,200 lost. Or I say £1,200 lost, £1,200 in your bank account for something you spent £1,600 on. Just think about the logical steps that's right for you. And if buying £1,600 an ounce is what you want to do with your money, then great. If you want better prices than that, I'll put a little plug in at the end of the video to the Silver Forum, where you find deals all the time, way better than the silly commercial prices that people are asking on Bookie Stupid Face or whatever it's called. And of course, as well, eBay. eBay's a good platform to sell on if you want to take advantage of people who don't know better. Personally, that's not really my kettle of fish. That's not the right phrase. Don't put fish in a kettle. Cup of tea. Or is it kettle of fish? That's going to be the cool club phrase for today's video, which, by the way, if you don't know anything about, is a secret phrase I have for people in every video. If you comment that secret phrase, then I might select your comment to win a random little giveaway that we have at the end of the month, and it will be a Britannia that you might win. So definitely worth putting a kettle of fish. Is that a real phrase? We'll put that in the comments for the Cool Kid Club. That'll confuse the heck out of a bunch of people. But anyway, cool kids, kettle of fish. Is that a phrase? It is now. So there we go. That's my thoughts on things. Let me know what you've got to say on this subject. I always really do enjoy reading people's thoughts and opinions on this. I don't get to reply to all the comments I possibly can. There are just too many these days, which is a real shame. But I do read 99% of them. I skim through them as best as I can. And I'd love to know what you've got to say. And if you are watching to the now 17th minute of our video, then what are you doing with your life choices? Make sure you've hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you've hit the subscribe button, which is probably down here now because I don't think I can put another little black box there, but down here. And also hit the bell because then you get notifications when I upload videos. That is it from me. We'll see you next time on a Precious Metal Ramble. Thanks for watching. And as always, please make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.